So today we have two advisors, LPs that are in our fund, and they are going to be Angelo Del Duca, which hopefully the community is quite familiar with, as he has been a supporter and part of our business for almost since it started. So thank you, Angelo, for being here today. And of course, Jeff, who we just gave the introduction to. Both you gentlemen, thank you very much for attending and being part of this today. So the way the process will work today is there will be 4 companies that will be pitching, and they will be providing a 5-minute pitch. And then Angelo and Jeff will provide 1 minute each of feedback for that company.
For those of you that have heard of Rover, this presentation may be slightly different than what you have heard before. When I started Rover 5 years ago, we were often described as Airbnb for parking, and we really focused on driveways and small businesses for our supply of parking. But a year ago, we really reinvented ourselves and are now focused on the apartment building industry. So what does that mean? Essentially, there are millions of private parking spots that sit vacant in apartment buildings, in residential buildings. And this is because there's no easy way to get to underground spots or gated parking spots. The problem with this is that apartment buildings now have greater than 20% vacancy in all of their lots, leading to these millions of parking spots. What's exciting is that this forfeits up to $2.5 million a year in asset value per building. And that's why these buildings that are now in our system have become so excited about what we're doing, because not only are we creating revenue for them, but they also have limited insight into their parking assets, as it were. So what we've created is really a B2B parking app for apartment buildings. So we have our Rover consumer app, which I would ask everyone to download, even though you're not leaving your houses or parking at this moment in time. But when we come out the other end of this, we certainly will be again. So we have our consumer app, which allows people to park. And then we have our apartment building software, which is one piece is a hardware unit that can open the garage doors. And number 2 is a dashboard, which allows these apartment buildings to actually have transparency on what's happening in their buildings and gives them the ability to sell their ungated vacant parking on an hourly and daily basis. The competitive advantage for us is that because this is a supply of parking that was not getting monetized previously, we can actually sell this at up to 75% cheaper than traditional parking lots. And that's why people love us. We currently have as partner the biggest REITs across Canada: Timber Creek, Starlight, Minto, Achilles, Toronto Community Housing. All of these companies are using us to help them better monetize and manage their parking spots. 2019, we created over $12.5 million in asset value for buildings, earning clients over $500,000. We parked over 85,000 cars in 2019, and we were on pace to do 200,000 cars in 2020 until everything has since slowed down. Our revenue model is simple. We take 25% of each transaction and a credit card processing fee. And we're just launching a new SaaS software as we've focused in the last 6 months on building out new software for apartment buildings that allows them to manage their parking. And we're just trying to charge them a $50 a month SaaS fee, which just really helps our margins at each individual business. Parking market's a huge market, $30 billion in North America. What's really more exciting is the niche that we're focused on is huge. We're focused on apartment buildings. Apartment buildings represent over 15 million parking spots in Canada and the US. And most of them are in these bigger REITs. That's why I have these REITs pictured on the right side. These guys own anywhere from 100 to 1,000 apartment buildings. So our goal is to roll out across these entire portfolios. Today, we were doing about $20K per year per building. That was about $6K revenue to us, or annualized revenue in 2019 of almost $300K, with 10,000 active parkers across 40,000 locations. In the next 18 months, we're looking to grow to 6 million. This is a presentation from February, so these numbers will change given everything that's happening right now and when everyone starts heading back to work. And in 3 years, the goal is to scale to 100 million. We've identified 30 cities that have this potential. There are empty parking spots in every single city across North America, and we plan to monetize those. We have an incredible team. We've been together from the start, and we were looking to raise $2 million. Right now, we've put that on hold. We're raising a small round with current investors. We have half of it filled, but we're looking for another 100K from new investors. So if interested, please reach out. Thank you.
Overall, very good presentation. I feel like I have seen you pitch before, and that's good. So, like I said, I didn't have my notes
Very
with
possible.
me. I didn't have my notes with me, but that's okay. I liked the detail that you went into. I mean, it's always hard to try and do a presentation in 5 minutes, especially when you're not seeing us and we're having a few technical glitches. But I thought you gave a very good overall business view and business definition of your model. Needs to be done. I say the numbers were coming out a little quick for me. Now, I think a lot of times we're on the slide, it's easier to go. So I'm going to be very careful on what I'm saying. But what I would like to see, like I said, I think you spent about 80% of your time, giving us a rundown of the general picture of, what you're trying to do and describing your overall market. But when you're doing a pitch to, a VC fund or to angel investors, what I might suggest is just perhaps to do the old forward, backwards, forward routine. Give us a general summary of what your business model is, basically what you are, almost like what they do on Dragon's Den and Shark Tank. Hi, I'm so-and-so. This is my company. This is what we do. This is what I'm looking for. And then kind of go back in. I noticed you didn't really, give any indication in this presentation, about your background. Myself being a very experienced angel investor, what I like to do is, obviously I listen to the idea, but and like I say, it's so much harder through here, but I invest in the horse as much as I do, or I should say I invest in the jockey as much as I do the horse. So, give a little background about yourself, as well as, any potential, business partners you've got. I think what I also like to see is any, who's on your advisory board, who's mentoring you. Like I say, I love the fact that I saw, I heard some big numbers, $12.5 million, scaling down to, $500,000 that's going to the actual apartment buildings. You're taking 25%. Your sales right now are 20K per year per building. These are beautiful numbers. And then, then all of a sudden I go from 300K to 6 million. And, right now you said your revenue in 2019 was 300K, going to 6 million. The bit of advice I'll give, we hear these lofty projections and lofty things so many times from pitch companies. So what I'm now saying to companies when I get a little opportunity to give a bit of feedback, if you're going to give a lofty projection like that, please try and give us a little, just even if it's 25 seconds on how you're going to do it, which kind of ties in with some of the other questions, like I say. So I'd like to see you give a little bit of more background on yourself and your partners, and then give a little more definition and explanation on how you're going to achieve your sales goals. Like I said, this is easier when you get to, Pitchit City Hall. You have more time and more Q&A. But just try and maybe take a little bit of time off your explanation of the company and the numbers, and give a little better, well-rounded in the shorter pitches. Like I say, your background, your partners, your advisory board, and how you're going to hit those numbers. Like I say, you gave me the numbers, but now tell me what's going to keep me thinking now over the next week or two is, okay, wow, this guy's really got a good handle. He just told me he's going to go from 300,000 to 6 million, but I don't know how. And like I say, I know you can't answer it now, but just tell me how you're going to do those lofty goals, because that's what's really going to excite me. But like I said, I think your pitch is great. Your numbers are great. This intrigues me. And I think with these kind of numbers, and I think these opportunities, I think you'll get a lot of attention.
Thanks, Jeff.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff, for that. We're going to work on your 1 minute. 2 minutes. We're going to try and get you under 2 minutes the next one. So
I'll buy an
I'm
egg
going to
timer.
mute you. But you guys can always pick up the conversation after. So I appreciate it. Angelo, are you able to jump in?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, we can hear you. You got a minute. Jeff's eating up all your time, so you got.
Yeah, I know. It'll be a quick. Hey, Tim, great seeing you virtually.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Exactly.
So I've known you for a while. I've seen your original pitch in your original business model. And as I've mentioned previously when we met or saw each other, I really like the shift that you've done. To me, this is a great opportunity. You've really stated well the value proposition to your customers, and also the value that it is to each of these customers. So on some feedback, I'd like to get a better sense of what does it cost to acquire your customers, the time and effort it takes. Some of those assumptions that Jeff mentioned on the growth, the raise that you've put on hold and now have downsized it in terms of what you're looking for. I think that that's probably more realistic given the current climate in the investment community. Although having said that, Tim, good opportunities get invested regardless of the climate, right? So don't despair, okay? Keep plugging away. And one thing from an investor point of view, I'd like to know the terms of the investment. How am I going to achieve a return on my investment? And who would be your exit strategy? Overall, great presentation and good job on growing the business.
Thanks, Angelo.
Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much.